it's head-to-head battle in this particular video. I've got two cracking drivers going up against each other. We've got the Callaway Quantum Max up against the new Ping G440K. Let's see which one comes out on top. So two heavyweight drivers here for 2026. We've got the Callaway Quantum Max. So this is their most forgiving option in their lineup of drivers in the Quantum sort of family. Loads of technology. We'll touch brief on that as we run through this video. And then we're going to put that up against the brand new Ping G440K. So this K has joined the G440 lineup, which we saw last year, and obviously that is going to carry into 2026. This is their basically the 10K version. Ultimate forgiveness is what it's talking about, loads more carbon. Again, we'll talk a little bit on the tech as we run through. So we're going to hit 3 shots with each driver, switch out and switch them back again. So we're not going to get too much of a run with the same driver. We've got the same shafts in these, identical, both at 9 degrees, set at 9 degrees. So we've got this test as equal as we can. So I just want to thank today's sponsor for this particular video is ELG Golf. They make really high quality football themed head covers and accessories. I've got my beloved Manchester United wood cover on my driver. So if you want to support your football team out on the golf course, head over to their website, use my code MNGolfCoach and you'll get a 10% discount off anything on their website. They've also provided us with a £50 gift card to give away to one lucky viewer. So all you need to do to enter is simply comment in the comments below this video, ELG Golf, and maybe your football team that you support, and we'll pick one lucky winner to spend £50 on their website. So just as a quick look in the playing position, I think is always important for me as we put it into that down by the ball sort of position, and two very sort of different looking drivers. Obviously the Callaway, we've got this sort of high gloss carbon. It's very stunning actually, sort of showing through on the crown with that sort of matte border at the front of the driver. Sort of a nice front to back sort of shape, as in it's quite long in that sense. Obviously that's going to get that weight back, making it in that maximum forgiveness. Into the Ping, it's a very typical look for a Ping driver. We've got those turbulators on the top. We've got this matte finish now, so it's not obviously gloss. We see that carbon coming through again with that darker border towards the front of the crown. Again, in that position, pretty big footprint as you're going to expect in the 10K. Pulled back a long way, heavyweight at the back. Maybe looks to be a fraction longer from front to back than the Callaway. But yeah, both two big footprints down there, both very confident, inspiring. Right, so we'll kick things off with the Callaway. So the Quantum Max, we've got that little bit of adjustability of weight at the back. We can see we've got this Tri-Force face, the big talking point here now, a mixture of carbon fibre, titanium with a poly mesh in between the two. So 3 materials that are sort of obviously squeezed together to make this club face. Callaway saying this is hot off the face. So through this test, we're going to look at ball speed off the club face, see which one is actually faster off the face. We're going to look at sort of obviously spin numbers, distance numbers, but also a little bit dispersion, you know, being a max, and obviously the G440K is a lot about sort of off-center hits, minimizing sort of dispersion and trying to get that sort of a little bit more of a straighter sort of ball flight. So we'll look at that as well. So Callaway down by the ball does look good. It's got a bit of that AI smoke sort of look in that setup position, but it does look stunning with that carbon gloss. That's a good solid hit. Just working a bit up that left. Really sort of powerful flight on that. Probably what I was mentioned in my review video with the Quantum is quite a firm sort of feel off the club face. So it's good ball speed there, 163. Quite a low spin there, just slightly pulled, so that's going to just pull that spin down a little bit. Decent carry, 270 running out 303. So I think for me with Callaway, they've always made good sounding drivers in my opinion, and this is no different. You know, very sort of solid on the feel of it, very sort of solid on the sound, nothing too loud or brash or anything like that. A bit more of that carbon sort of sound to it. Okay, it's a little bit of a heely strike. A little bit of a left to righter, but that's hitting the fairway nicely. Yeah, just a little bit low in the club face there. It's dropping a touch of ball speed because of that strike. Spin hasn't climbed huge from that low heel connection, so that's done very well in terms of that forgiveness. And for me, this is where these drivers are really probably going to really help you. For your golfer that's just moving that strike just a little bit around that club face, but you just want to try and keep that dispersion a little bit tighter. These are really, really good options. Okay, that was a better strike on that one. Wow, that's a low spin. That's dropped under, a little bit high from centre, but that's quite a low spin on it. It was very sort of knucklebally, so you can see that's really released out as it's hit the ground, getting out to 307. Right, so let's switch over into the Ping. So as I mentioned, G440 family carries on this year. This is an addition to it, and the K replaces the G430 10K driver. We look at the bottom, we see more carbon than we see in the other G440s, especially on the sole of the golf club. So we've got this dual carbon fly wrap. Clearly that is saving some weight, and that is now placed into this tungsten weight at the back, but this is a heavier weight than we see in other G440 products. I think, top of my head, it's about a 35 gram weight. It's a chunky bit of weight. So this is what Ping are saying is their most stable driver, highest MOI they've ever produced, and the fastest off the club face. Sounds like a perfect combination, doesn't it? So let's have a little look into that playing position. As I mentioned before, very much a Ping driver. Turbulators on there, matte top finish on it, large footprint. Confident inspiring is definitely when you put that down by that golf ball. Good strikes, working again a bit up that left-hand side. Definitely a sound, louder sound to that in comparison to the Callaway. Definitely more of that Ping sort of sound, as we're very much sort of used to hearing, even though we've got that extra carbon on there. So just short of 111 club head, 162 good ball speed there, 2.6 spin, 270 carry, nice numbers. Okay, touch lower on the face, that felt like. A little bit in that heel, probably just gonna spin up a touch. Yeah, it has, and that has spin up. So maybe saw the Callaway just control that spin a little bit more on that slightly low heel. I hit one exactly the same position with that Callaway and didn't quite spin up as high as that, so maintenance of spin was probably a touch better with the Callaway on that particular strike. But having said that, again, we've not got as much gearing on that, and that has hit the fairway nice with the Ping. That's a better hit. Nice straight one, that one. Okay, so maybe just seeing ball speed, maybe just not quite as quick as the Callaway there. And the carry, as you can notice, or the total run out distance, as you'll notice just on the dispersion rings there, just starting to drop off a little bit shorter than the Callaway. So back into the Callaway for 3. Definitely a more muted sound off the Callaway, more of that sort of carbon sort of sound coming off from that particular club. Yeah, a little bit lower spin on there. Definitely that's what's giving us that extra bit of run out. So you can see that particular one was a little bit toe strike. Spin's obviously quite low, so it's hitting and then releasing a long way, which obviously is where I was getting that extra sort of dispersion ring there. If I move that into just the carry distance alone, you can see there's probably not a massive amount in it. So it's obviously just how that ball is spinning, the land angle it's coming in at, and obviously which is then giving us that run out. Oh, that's a cracker. That's a great ball flight. That felt super solid. Yeah, so even with that Quantum Max, you know, that maximum forgiveness, weight at the back, stretched out, we still get quite a low spin number with that. So that's where, as I've just mentioned there, it's really going to sort of hit the ground and really sort of release. Just going back into that total column there, you can see that's a good sort of, you know, up to that sort of 300-yard marker. Oh, just pulled that a little bit. Good strike though, a little bit moving up the left. Okay, so back into the Ping for another 3. Okay, so that felt a good solid hit. Again, just a little bit up that left, just running just short of that 300 marker. So I think just starting to hit a few with each of these drivers. Obviously the look is quite different with that gloss to the matte. The sound is quite different as well. The Ping just being that little bit louder. As we know with Ping drivers tend to be a slightly more tinnier, sort of louder sound. Much better than what they used to be, but definitely not quite as quiet or as solid maybe as feel as we see with the Callaway. That's a good strike. A little bit of a higher flight, touch higher in the club face, which will obviously create that slightly higher flight. Yeah, good controlled spin, 2, 3. Just looking to be not quite as quick as we see the Callaway, both club head speed and ball speed. Again, we'll look at that a little bit more detail in a second. Okay, so before we sort of just look at the numbers a little bit more detail and compare the two together, in terms of the looks and maybe that sound that we're sort of seeing, I just want you to comment in the comments below this video, which one would you sort of prefer? Which one would you go for? Have you got either a Ping, an older model, or the G440, or again with a Callaway? Which would you sort of edge towards? The Ping is obviously in that slightly higher price point. This is coming in currently at £599. So this is probably one of the most expensive drivers currently out there on the market in these big driver categories. The Callaway is coming in at £529. So there is a little bit of a difference of price. So I think when we come to look at the numbers, this is the carry of the two drivers, and very much sort of similar, I would say, when you look at the carry number through the air. Now, obviously what we do see a difference of is the total distance, and that's really because of how the Callaway was probably a little bit lower spin, a little bit of a flatter flight, so when it hit the ground on a sort of a more shallow descent angle, it's going to release and get a little bit more run out, so that's where the Callaway edges it on that front. And if we got that spin down a little bit with the Ping, possibly would be the similar sort of numbers. And then when we just compress the numbers here and get the averages of those shots hit with each of those clubs, you see club head speed, probably 1 mile an hour slow with the Ping. Launches up a little bit, spins a little bit up with the Ping, but a good, nice sort of spin number. As I say, that Quantum Max is quite a low spin club, I find. So obviously you can see the carry numbers are pretty similar, but then there's that 10-yard difference of run out with the Callaway, purely because it's coming in at 32-degree land angle, as you can see, against that 37, which is going to give you a little bit more run out at the other end. Big difference on the look, quite a big difference on the feel as well. So that's clearly something for you to go and have a little go and see if that's a personal thing of the looks and the feel, which one you would particularly go for. But loads of adjustability in both of these drivers, so you can really sort of dial that in deep to your Pacific, delivering obviously plenty of shaft options to go with them as well. Post comments down below, let me know your thoughts, and hopefully we'll catch up with you all very soon.